Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble podcast. It's Jamie here, and we are here to speak about Annan Athletic preview. So the game, Scottish Cup game, isn't it? Fifth round, sixth round. I really should know.
Are you struggling with this intro?
Yeah. Annan Athletic are playing. I know that. I mean, other managers called Peter Murphy. We do know that. So Annan in the Scottish, and it's a weird kick-off, isn't it? Is it like tomorrow night?
Yeah, 5:30.
Dinner time tomorrow. So we may have a few beers before we watch that game. But before we touch on that, Scotty, you're looking awful dapper today, my man. You're looking fabulous.
Thank you very much. I like to make an effort because, albeit I originally thought this was just audio only, I knew I was going to see you two, so I thought get the old pocket square out.
Yeah, of course.
Gel the hair.
Yeah.
Glasses on.
Gel the hair. Those are the days.
Top button slightly undone.
That's creeping me out a lot, I must say. But anyway, we move on. But it's good to see you, mate. Graeme, how are we?
Aye, all good, mate.
Another week of the night shift done.
Day off today, so planning doing none. So
same week day off for me as well, but I'm working Sunday, so that's not as good. Anyway, we're here to chat about the game, but we'll just touch on the other night, and we'll maybe speak about a couple of players. I've seen Twitter having a few words to say about perhaps the Aaron Ramsey situation just now. We'll touch on that as well, but we'll look at what team we think will start against and where we want us to go with that game. But the other night was another Scotty, another good performance. I mean, I'm not going to moan. I've seen a few grumbles about a bit patchy here and there, but for me, the tactics seem to have changed since that humbling defeat.
Yeah, I don't have any complaints. Right, so I think I was on either the midweek or the preview pod, and it coincided, and I turned around and said, I said on the pod 6-0, and I was confident of a really strong performance. But if it wasn't that performance, I thought it'd be a grotty 2-0. What actually transpired was somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I thought we were very strong, very dynamic, still very fast and really inventive. However, what didn't work in our favour was so many stoppages in the first half, and it ruined all momentum, all continuity of play to a point where it did disrupt us, and it was obvious. But what I was really impressed with was the players' desire to keep plugging away with that mentality. It wasn't a victory that was dug out. It was still done with style. It's just a bit... I think the players will come off a bit disappointed because it wasn't a 2-0 game. I think it was a 3-4-0 game.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really pleased with that performance. And it sets us up really nicely. And no disrespect to Annan. I know we're on a preview pod for Annan, but it sets us up perfectly for next Thursday.
Yeah. Graeme, I think coming out of that game with the 2-0 victories is always going to be pleasing against Hibs. Of course it is. Especially with a set of fans as embarrassing as that. But Leon, I thought Leon Balogun started the game fantastically, and it was a bit of I was gutted, and it seemed to take a wee bit of the life out of us when he had to go off, because he was playing exceptionally well in that first 15-20 minutes.
I agree, mate. It's just we're seeming to pick up a lot of injuries these days, but he was playing well, and as Scott was saying, the team, it was the same carry on for the Hearts game. On the front foot, quite high up. Pressing was up a wee bit there still again, but direct. Ryan Kent running at the players. So there was a lot of positives, and I agree it was probably a 3 or a 4-0 game if we took some of one of the chances we made.
We've been crying out to press. We haven't pressed as much this season, probably at all. But since last week, the Wednesday before, we've really pressed teams. It's been so evident. And I think Van Bronckhorst was asking one of his pressers this week about his style was high and wide, but he's actually changed that because he's got Arfield playing more of the inside, which is letting Tav roam a wee bit further. That's been key, Scotty, the last couple of games.
It has. There's been a noticeable shift in the patterns of play and the style. It'd be interesting to see how Gio settles on this going forward, because I'm not, as you mentioned there, I don't think this is his style, but it's a style that I think he's adapting for the personnel that he's got. Because although we brought in players like Ahmad, who will play wide, I don't think he's necessarily ready to trust him at the moment until later on in the season. So I would be surprised to see a shift in playing style again later on in the season. But that said, if we carry on with these performances, with this personnel, it's going to be really difficult for Gio to move away from what we're doing at the moment.
That's a cracking little segue. So we'll put that to bed. It was a good result, a good performance, but it takes us into you want to say a tricky tie, going away down there on a plastic pitch, playing part-time guys. There's only going to be one loser here unless we come out and absolutely smash them. So, Graeme, I think we're going to see a change of personnel and perhaps Gio going back to a formation or a more high, wide wingers, both sides, to just get at a team like this.
I think it will be. I think there will be a few changes in the team for midweek, and then the Balogun one, as you said, I think he won't. Well, I've got a feeling now he was maybe going to play Helander some minutes, but I've got a feeling he can't risk that. So I'm hoping that we can maybe see Leon King play, and then, like you say, he'll have the wingers high up, and it'll hopefully create more space in the middle if they stay high and wide. It gives the players in the middle a wee bit more room to hopefully dictate the tempo and kind of work through there as well.
What is the situation with Balogun?
I've not heard anything. Although he was holding the hammies, he went off, didn't he? So that's never.
Yeah.
We don't ever release. We don't ever really get to find out. So it'd be interesting. I mean, I seen a wee bit of the press or nothing. The part I watched, there was nothing really about that. So it was more about the attacking play. So maybe we should have checked that out before we come on. So that's a good shout. Graeme,
where's our research team?
Yeah, Graeme, just to come back to you on Amad Diallo. He has not played really since the Celtic game. Are we expecting him to come in on a plastic pitch down in Annan?
I'd like to see him coming in because I want to see a wee bit more of him, but I've got a feeling he might go with the same two, like kind of Arfield coming in off the right and then keeping Kent wide on the left, and that allows Tavernier to get down to provide the width down the right hand side. But I would like to see Ahmad come in because obviously his debut against Ross County looked impressive, so I'd like to see a bit more of that as well.
Scott, are we going to see? We're not really a team for making wholesale changes, Scott. We're going to see upwards to 5, 6, 7 changes, surely.
Yeah, I'm expecting it. Just getting minutes in the legs of players. You wanted to keep players fresh and ready for Thursday. You don't really want to put them at unnecessary risk of injury as well. It's going to be a tricky tie for many reasons. Going away to an unfamiliar ground, small dressing room. It's going to be a really uncomfortable atmosphere. That said, it should be majority Bears. It always is. But you kind of, it's going to be tricky as well because there's going to be a full eye on Thursday. So we all want to see like a 5-0 absolutely dominating performance. I'm not expecting that at all. I'd take a 2-0, 3-0, grotty, just score 3 goals. Nothing really happens in the game. Get through it unscathed. I'm not really too fussed about seeing dazzling performances from Ahmad or Ramsey or whoever might play. I just, get through it, minutes in the legs, job done. Not really interested in much else. But yeah, I'm fully expecting a lot of changes.
See, we talk about changes, right? We always talk about these plastic pitches, right? And that's maybe because perhaps we are of an older generation that you didn't really have plastic pitches. We played on grass, or you actually played on like red ash in Glasgow a lot of the time. But
I've played on that.
Yeah. See these younger kids. Somebody saying, "Will Diallo play?" I mean, would he risk Leon King? I've seen a lot of talk on Twitter. No, don't put King or Lowry on those pitches. These young boys, they've grown up playing on these pitches. That's you agree with that, Graeme? That these boys should be able to play on a plastic pitch and it's perfect for them.
I agree with the younger players like your Lowry and that. They'll be used to playing in the pitches quite often, actually, and then even in the training centre as well. I think young ones training that quite often as well because the main team's out in the actual grass pitch. But it's the older ones, and especially ones with like injury prone or like niggling injuries and stuff like that. They're the ones that you don't want to risk on the pitches, especially on knee injuries and stuff and ankle injuries and that. So I think you might see some of the young ones play because of that reason.
I think we would probably have. I think Helander would have came into the reckoning had this game been at Ibrox. I think he definitely probably would have got some sort of time. It's probably time to now trying to get him a few minutes. It's tough when it's a defender though, bringing him on every now. The game needs to be almost dead just to try and get him that time. But I know you touched on Leon King there. There's a lot of talk about Leon King, and he's come in and done bits and bobs and looked good, but is he still only 17, just turned 18, I think? Scott, are you expecting Leon King and Alex Lowry to start?
Lowry, more likely than King. It depends on the situation with the defenders, actually, because...
We're short. We don't have many, do we?
Exactly. And it goes back to what we said. Like, bring in Suter. Play. Why didn't we sign Suter or the other guy in the transfer window? That was an area that we were really keen on strengthening. So with that in mind, perhaps we do actually need to play Leon King to see how he copes in the first team. It's a low-risk game. It does pose its problems, but it in terms of the quality of the opposition, and no disrespect to Annan, Leon King should be able to cope in that environment. He's been playing with the B team at a similar, if not
level.
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing well. What are they? Third in the league. So, alongside other senior season pros, I'm confident that he can make the gap. And we really need to test him at the top level, i.e., in the first team. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in, but again, it depends on the situation with the other defenders, Helander, Balogun, whether they're ready. I don't really want to see Bassey at centre back because I feel like that's a wasted opportunity for others.
Yeah.
And Bassey at left back, I think, needs to stay there ahead of Barisic because I don't know what's happened to Barisic, but he's fallen off a cliff. Good points. Lowry, I'd love to see him, expect to see him, particularly in that central role. So it's a good opportunity for the kids.
Graeme, if you think about the defence, I'd be very surprised if Goldson didn't start. Now, we brought in Zukowski from Gdansk, I think it was, Legia Gdansk, wasn't it? He's a 20-year-old Polish under-21 internationalist. Do we think this is a game where you won't see Tav and Goldson play, or you might see one of them being rested for maybe a young guy, a guy like that to come in and get his debut? Or again, is this maybe one where we need to make a few changes but keep, like, John McLaughlin for McGregor's a decent change, right? And it won't disrupt much. But do you still need the base of perhaps a Tav, Goldson, perhaps a Steve Davis coming in, some experience in there if you want to bring in Jack Simpson, Leon King, Alex Lowry, back to your Scott Wrights and stuff like that? Do you think your Tavs and Goldson will play?
I always think when you're going to play younger players, you need to, like, your captain and maybe like your vice captain or your strong centre half. So I expect Tavernier and Goldson both to start. And you just mentioned one of the ones that I think as well there. I think Stephen Davis will start, which will help Lowry as well. So I think you've always got to have experience with the young ones, definitely.
Do you I think no? Do you think David? Because has Davis been injured, or has he just not been kind of out of favour and on the bench? Do you think?
I've read people saying that it was personal problems, so I don't know. I don't think anything's, but I don't know how true that is either. So, but it's just stuff I've read on Twitter. Like personal problems. I've read he's been injured. So again, like you're saying, we don't really hear much for the club anymore on this stuff. So,
if you look at the left back situation, Scotty, and you'd said, but I think Bassey's in there before Barisic now, surely on a confidence thing. And I think Bassey probably offers more going forward anyway. However, I think still in Albion, Jack Simpson came in and played left back. Do we expect to see Jack Simpson get some minutes, or do we think if he doesn't get minutes, was that a short window that he maybe tried to throw him in as a Hail Mary?
I think it's more the latter than trying to see Jack Simpson as a left back or a left-sided centre back or a three at the back. I think that very much was a case of showcasing some players. I think this conversation actually highlights a lack of depth at left back, which is a little bit of concern. I would because Bassey's plays so much at centre back as well, it does pose a problem because we probably could do a whole pod on Barisic and what's happened to Barisic. Well, I can't really get my head around that because even, we talk about what you said, Bassey's offering more going forward. When Barisic gets forward, his crosses aren't even beating the first man.
I know.
And I don't know whether that's a confidence thing or what. Do you play Barisic against Annan to get his confidence up? Because there's no chance of him playing again on Thursday anyway. I watched like James Maxwell, and he seems to be doing really well at Air. And I would like to see there be a youngster come through and again put him in this environment, because Maxwell is very much a seasoned player in the Championship. He's played a lot of games, and it would be ideal for him to be tested in this environment going forward. But we seem to have that lack of depth. But for me, it's just got to be Bassey. It's got to be Bassey.
Yeah. In
a long-winded roundabout way.
It's got to be Bassey.
Does the new boy start? The new left back? Is it Polish? No, obviously.
Well, they say he's a right back, Graeme, but he can play at left back as well. So perhaps he might. He was on the bench on Wednesday night, wasn't he? Thursday night, Wednesday night. He was on the bench. So I think we'll see him at some point. They've brought him in for a reason. It's not just to sit and cover Tav if Tav's injured, or perhaps because Tav doesn't really get injured. So I think we're going to see this young guy. And he looked quite good from the old YouTube clips, to be fair. If we go into the midfield, I just want to touch on something. Maybe I don't know if we'll see against Annan. Some people are saying they might start the game. I don't know, but I've seen a lot of grumblings now about Aaron Ramsey not being match fit and not being anywhere near ready to start. Scotty, do you agree with that?
Do you know what? Yeah, I've seen some similar comments like. We're not paying him. Well, we're not paying £2.5 million just for a 6-month training camp, and that's a really interesting take because I see Aaron Ramsey, yes, for the next couple of games coming on, getting some minutes, but we'll see him against Dortmund, and he'll come on against Dortmund because he's at that level and he can play at that level and he can offer us something, whether that's 20 or 30 minutes. And when he gets to a certain level of sharpness, he doesn't even have to be 100% ready. I think in case of getting Aaron Ramsey on the pitch and starting, it's more of a case of making sure his body is ready in terms of he won't pick up an injury if we put him in too soon. However, if he's 70% fit and you can trust his body to give you 70 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 and keep pushing from the start, then absolutely. I mean, he will get there very, very quickly. He's an athlete. He's a natural. Yeah. I've got no qualms. It'll be like 2 or 3 games. 2 or 3 games, and he'll be starting. So, just be patient. Sit tight.
I think so as well. What I've seen of him, from my opinion, when he's came on in the games, you can just tell. You can just see. I mean, he's been breaking into the box and stuff like that. And on the ball, you can just see he's a top player, Graeme. But do you expect us to see him starting or get some minutes against Annan again just to get the legs going?
When I was thinking about it earlier on, I'd like to see him maybe come on at half time. I don't think he'll start, but I'd like to see him get like a full 45 minutes. Because sometimes when you come on with like 20, 30 minutes, if you don't get into the game within the first 5-10 minutes, then there's not really going to do much as well. So I'd like to see him get a full start in the second half, basically. But again, it's who do you take off and who we start, because they'll need minutes as well. We're in a tough choice with team selection now, actually, to be honest.
And that's a tough choice because everybody's starting to play. We've started to pick up a couple of good victories. Whereas coming off the back of the Old Firm defeat, you're thinking you could change that 11 up and who cares? Is it because Lundstrom's came in and he's doing well? But again, does that really matter, Graeme, against Annan? You're not really dropping somebody against Annan, old school dropping someone for not playing well, are you? You're just saying, right, listen, you're going to come out. James Sands might come in with Aaron Ramsey and Alex Lowry might be your 3.
I keep forgetting about that, James Sands, to be honest. So that's another one. I'd like to see, my midfield 3 would be Davis, Lundstrom and Lowry. That would be my midfield three that I would like to see.
Graeme, see every pod I'm on with you, you always pick Davies in your midfield three, and he never plays.
I know. Well, especially this game, because I think he needs minutes, and I think Kamara will probably definitely start in Thursday, so he needs to gain it. I'd maybe rest him.
I think Kamara and Aribo will start. I think Kamara and Aribo will come out. But I think James Sands has played a lot of soccer ball on the old Astro turf back in the day. I think this could be ideal for him. And I think they might give him some games. But maybe they're just slowly managing him, because again, he's a guy who have got on loan for like a year and a half. Like, what's the plans with this guy? Are we just going to develop this boy and he'll go back to America? I don't know. And he's not.
We've got an option to buy, haven't we?
Yeah. But we're not going to exercise that option if he doesn't actually play.
No. That's true. But it's a low risk signing, isn't it?
Of course. Scotty, one man I just want to touch on, because I've not had a chance to actually slaver about him, is Morelos. Now, we'll not see Morelos against Annan, but what a turnaround in him since Van Bronckhorst has come in.
Oh, he's got the bit between his teeth, and he's scoring for fun. He's enjoying himself. I've never seen him smile as much as he has on the pitch, and his smile is so infectious. Got a little bit of
doesn't he?
A man crush on Morelos. I didn't think that would happen, not with that snarly face, but yeah, it's definitely there. His little highlights. Oh, he just seems so happy at the moment. So absolutely delighted for him. And long may it continue. His technical ability and his confidence seems to have increased in bundles as well. So I'm really excited to again. Obviously, you're absolutely spot on. You probably won't see him tomorrow, but really excited to see him against Dortmund. This is almost turning into an inadvertent Dortmund preview. Apologies, I keep mentioning them, but it's hard not to take your eye off them.
Boys, can I just get you to can we chat, Graeme? Chat about the front three. I think we Sakala. Will we see Itten? And I'll be back in literally 2 seconds.
For the front three, I don't think Itten suits playing against a team like that, because I think we want to keep the ball on the ground as much as possible. When I don't think his hold-up play works quite well like that. So I'd like to see Sakala through the middle, Ahmad, and I'd maybe go with Ryan Kent again for this game, just to keep him in this run of form. And that provides obviously speed and high and wide.
What would the other option be then, Ryan Kent?
You've got Aribo could play there. You could maybe put Ramsey in there just to get him in.
What about? I do like the idea of Sakala centrally, and I don't think we've actually utilised him like that. But he definitely has something about him, and he likes to run with the ball and run in behind, and it could cause a lot of problems. But then again, yeah, I don't see why not. I think he's got the physicality to be able to handle it, and I think it's a bit unfair in Itten, as you mentioned him. I really want him to succeed, but I just don't see it.
I don't think he's a type of player. He's not a target man. His hold-up play is not that good. He gets bullied off the ball as well quite a lot, and it's hard. Like you say, the goals against Motherwell and that, you're happy for him, and you just want to see him succeed. But he needs to up his game definitely when he's given a chance.
Yeah. I just can't put my finger on it. It's actually quite frustrating, because I know JD has taken the piss out of me before for supporting Itten, and I know he'd rather have certain Aberdeen strikers in ahead of Cedric Itten.
No, I don't say that. You can't say that. Come on, I'll need to cut that out. Apologies. Listen, we've always got dogs and like cats and all sorts of stuff happening. But I've got my daughter today and we're potty training her, so she was like, "Pee." I'm like, "Oh, I need to go and help you." So apologies for that. Where did we get to there? So you're saying it'll start, Scotty?
No, we weren't saying that. We were just actually saying, because Graham said probably wouldn't start Itten, Sakala centrally, and I couldn't disagree with that. And I was just saying it's a shame, because I know I've been a fan of Itten in the past, and I've really supported him. I'm really struggling to see it. There seems to be something lacking. He's not also the same player that when he signed. When he signed, you could tell he was really hungry, desperate to succeed, and you can see he wants to succeed. But I don't see that desperation running himself into the ground. It's not happening, and I think playing him even against Annan would be a bit of a wasted opportunity or a wasted jersey for someone like Sakala, who we haven't seen through the middle, and I would really like to see through the middle. So I think he's got a lot to offer, a lot of pace, movement, dribble with the ball, running behind. And in terms of the front three, I think we settled on Diallo on the right, possibly on the left actually, and have Scott Wright on the right, and give him an opportunity. Graeme mentioned possibly playing Ryan Kent. Again, it's another one of these things. I think we've got, albeit not regular starters or solid first teamers, but guys like Scott Wright have played enough games and have been trusted enough to be able to come in and, I would say, excel and show what they can do in this type of game. So we don't really need to worry about, can they cope, can they not cope against Annan? If we're thinking that, we've got problems with our squad depth.
Yeah. I think Scott Wright's someone who I think had a couple of not even dreadful games, just a few quiet games when you want our attacking players to really go for it. But I do believe, Graeme, that Scott Wright probably still has a part to play in games like this, in games like Dundee, places like that, once the game's done, to get legs rested and stuff like that, because we'll have bigger fixtures on the horizon, which Scott Wright probably won't have a part to play in.
I agree. I think Scott Wright, he's got all the kind of physical attributes, like the speed and all that stuff. It's just when it comes to like playing that final ball or shooting instead of cutting it back, or cutting it back instead of shooting. It's all the decision-making side. If he gets that sorted, and hopefully obviously he's working on it in training to improve it, then we will have a player there, and then we will get more minutes. But I think for like now, I think he's like more an impact player, like you say, coming on when the teams are tired, and he's taking the place of someone to get a wee bit of rest. So I think he probably could start, but I'd like to see Ahmad play. And the reason I was kind of thinking Ryan Kent is because he's just coming into this kind of form.
Yeah,
you want to kind of keep it going. There's some players like that you can't really take out when they're on that form because they might not get it back. So I think I'd maybe try and give Kent maybe like the first half, for example, and then maybe get Ramsey on, and maybe you could put him through the out wide left and cut in deep, narrow rather.
yeah.
So there's plenty of options, but it's a lot of players that you want to give minutes, then other players you want to see because they're young and give them a chance. It's quite hard, like we said earlier.
I'm a bit more old school. Seeing a game like this, if you go back 20 years, this would be a game where your star man, like Ryan Kent, the manager would have up to him and put their arm around him and said, "Son, you're not coming with us. You're not even him and Morelos. Stay in the house, watch a game at home, have a rest, because we've got a game in Thursday night, massive game, Dortmund." But you never know. I don't know if the Gio would do something like that. I can't see any of our stars, Scotty, Morelos, Kent, Aribo, Kamara, McGregor. They're the ones I don't see starting at all.
No, I completely agree, and I wouldn't start them. I wouldn't even be tempted to. If, as I said, if we can't knock Annan out the cup with our reserves, we've got problems. If the players that play are our second string team and they can't G themselves up, we've got problems.
Scotty, what
We've
about this
got
one
the quality
then?
there.
Because we've all kind of agreed that Tav and Goldson will play. What are we saying if Tav or Goldson then go and get? What if Goldson gets an injury? I think Tav gets injured is a bad one for us. I really, because he gives us so much, right?
Why would you even?
But what I'm saying is,
that? What have you done?
I think if we lose
what
Goldson,
have you done?
It's a massive. That's bigger than anything right now. If we lose Goldson,
yeah, we're fucked.
So why would we risk him?
We don't have another centre back to play.
Why would we risk him against Annan? Why?
We don't have any other centre backs. We literally don't have any other centre backs.
Jack Simpson.
We've got Goldson.
This is Annan. Scotty, this is not playing League One, League Two. This is boys who go to work like you and I. Jack Simpson's a full-time professional footballer. Surely Jack Simpson can come in and play centre half with Leon King, Zakowski right back, and then Barisic or Bassi left back. Surely we can do a makeshift defence like that and win this game comfortably.
You'd think. My confidence in Jack Simpson doesn't stretch that far. Sadly, I just think he can. It's not the technical ability of the opposition that Jack Simpson struggles with. It's the physicality.
Yeah.
And as soon as someone gets physical with him, he doesn't know whether he's coming or going.
Yeah.
And he panics. And then that gives the opportunity for chaos in the defence. And if he's playing alongside Leon King, who's going to drag who out of that mire? Therefore, don't.
Graeme, from what I've seen of and what I've heard of Leon King playing in certain games, he is the type of person who drags people out of slumps and stuff like that, and as a future captain.
Yeah, it's a leader on the pitch, but it's more played by example. He's not a shout. Well, to me, he doesn't come across as a shouter. So I don't know if he would have the confidence to kind of shout at a proper first team player and to get his confidence up. And that's quite a bad statement to make. If a young player, I think he's just turned 18, is shouting at a 22, 23-year-old seasoned ball. Played in the Premier League and English Championship, and he's having to drag him through a game against Annan. So that's quite embarrassing if that to happen. But I agree with what you were saying about we should be able to drop all these players, but it's hard when you've only really got Jack Simpson. You could maybe play James Sands at centre half.
Do you know what? That's actually a really good shout.
Do you think so?
I would rather be experimental and give James Sands a shout at centre half and see how he does, because I don't think he's been overawed or really pressurised, particularly in terms of testing his technical ability or his physicality in this league. So I think he can come in and cope. Whether you stick him next to Leon King is another thing, because ideally you do want Goldson and King together, because Goldson just is incredible. He really is. And, it'll be a big loss if he goes in the summer. But he brings calmness, despite what some people say. He brings calmness, and he will guide, coach, and talk through King in the game. And do you know what? I actually think someone like Balogun would be able to do that. You listen to Leon Balogun talk, very articulate, very calm, very measured, and that at the majority of time is also demonstrating in his play. It's only the bigger games that have my real concern with Balogun. But Sands and Kings or Simpson and King, no, I'd just rather not.
I don't think we're going to see a wholesale. I think we're still going to see a core of players that we can really, really trust, and I think that's Tav and Golson we're playing in there. Who plays alongside them in there? I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Simpson plays at left back. He done it against Stirling Albion. This is not much difference. I think Annan are third in the league. Stirling Albion are maybe mid-table, bottom half of that league. So I can't see it. I can't see us making drastic changes. Who's your midfield three? Who are we thinking our midfield three is in? Are we saying that likes of your Lundstroms and Kamaras perhaps will take a rest? Are we going with Alex Lowry?
I definitely want to see Alex Lowry play again. I think he deserves it because he's not put a foot wrong if he came in, played in the first team. So I think he deserves a game like this, especially when coming the next few fixtures. I can't see him getting much minutes. So
he's not going to risk Ryan Jack, is he?
No, definitely wouldn't. I think Davis comes in, for me, for this one. And Lowry to play the Aribo role. And
Sands?
Possibly Sands, if he doesn't play centre half.
And Ramsey, Scotty, does he start? Nah.
No.
And then what we saying up top then, we're going with Fashion, Scott Wright, and Ahmad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We don't envisage any sort of problems here, do we? Is this a 2-3-4-0 we're expecting? Or do we need to be a bit more respectful of the opposition?
I'd take a 2-0.
Yeah.
Just get, as I said, really uneventful, boring game. Take a 2-0, couple of goals, 3 goals maybe. Up the road, nothing happens, no injuries, no bookings. Just
no injuries. That's a big one.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
Injuries. Okay, we'll leave it there. Apologies for my disruption there. It's not usually like me. But yes, we will call it a day there, Scotty. Thanks, mate.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me and putting up. I don't know if my internet connection's been dodgy or not,
it's
but
perfect. And Graeme, thank you for coming on again, mate. We'll see you soon.
Again.
And we are back tomorrow night for match reaction. It might even be me. I think it is. So yeah, I don't know.
you need to speak to the guy doing the scheduling.
Anyway, folks, thanks for joining us, and we will see you again tomorrow evening.